Well, this just arrived. They just unloaded it off the 18-wheeler and dropped it here in my driveway. This is the cheapest 12,000 watt generator I can find anywhere. So I picked this up off of Amazon. I'll put a link to this down in the description. Hopefully they still have this in stock and at the price I got it for when you want to go take a look. But not only is it the cheapest 12,000 watt generator I could find, but it's also dual fuel. So it can run off of gasoline or propane. And I'm going to get this thing out of the box and get this thing all assembled, put together, test it out, because this is going to be our new multi-use generator. First, it's going to be my welder generator, and then we'll use it as home backup if we have power outages at our property. All right, so I've got it torn down. I got all the cardboard around it pulled out. It's way too heavy to just try to lift out of a box. I think it said it was 200 and something pounds. Now there is a whole box of pieces to put on, which really isn't that many pieces. It's mostly just the wheels and bolts, and then the little handles that connect on the sides to let you pull it around. But again, it's your basic generator. It doesn't have all the big, electronic screens and all that other kind of stuff on it, which I'm cool with. I don't want a bunch of stuff that can go out. I just want the generator to start, generate electricity, turn off. If I need to know how much it's doing or whatever. Of course, it still does have this right here. It has this little like LCD screen that's right here. But in general, I don't need, another grand added to it for a little fancy LCD or something like that. It comes with a battery. I mean, it's like I said, it's dual fuel, so it does propane and regular gasoline here on the top. And as you can see, it's got a little, level meter here for the gas. Everything it needs. So I'm going to finish getting this thing set up. Check out the parts that are in the box. Comes with a manual and some other stuff in this plastic bag. It comes with 2 solid rubber tires, which is good. I don't like pneumatic tires that you have to keep messing with. These are kind of cushioned rubber, but they look like they'll hold up pretty good. There are 2 of these. All right, so cool. So there's a propane hose connector. That's good that comes with it. You don't have to buy it. And these are the arms that you would use to lift it up when you're rolling it, and some of the feet for that, and even a little toolkit. Let me put it together. All right, so here it is all put together. Well, mostly. If you notice, I took the battery out. It does have a quick disconnect. I like that. But I took the battery out because every single piece of equipment that I've ever purchased that has a battery in it, that's electric start, something like this, battery's always dead or close to dead. But these are the parts it did come with. It comes with the hookup for the propane. It comes with the little tool set. That wrench right there was all I needed to put this whole thing together. And it was really simple. All I did was put the wheels on. You put a pin in, cotter key, and then you have the bolts that are here in those 2 little like dolly arms to move it around, and that wrench does it. So you don't have to have any other tools to do that. That's a spark plug socket right there, and then that is also a metal pole to go in that socket if you need the leverage to turn it. That's just the top of the battery that I took off so I could take it out. There is this little yellow thing here that's going to be on your dipstick there that says, the oil was drained. You have to fill it with oil. It does not come with oil, and the engine does not have oil in it. So I'm going to go buy me some 10W30. And you do got to run these things through a break-in period. So I think it said in the manual 5 hours, maybe 10. I don't know. Read your manual. I'll check it again. I usually do 5 hours, so I'm not sure exactly what the manual says, but you do that. So buy enough oil to fill it and to run it, and then enough oil to drain that and fill it again, because you should probably have that pretty quick. Here, let's take a look at a few things. So this is this side here. It does have a spark arrestor on it. So most parks, national parks, things like that are going to want an exhaust or a muffler with a spark arrestor, and that's what that little mesh piece there is. Here's the power unit for the actual generation of the electricity. So this is the big alternator. It's got your specs and everything over here on this sticker, some warning stuff. But of course, you got these nice wheels. I love the fact that it came with these nice heavy duty, cushioned type of rubber wheels, no flat wheels. All right, this is the carb side. So you got your breather. There's your carburetor for this engine. That would be if you need to mess with it to do like a high altitude kit or putting different jets or whatever, or cleaning out your carb. There it is right there. This is CARB. They have to have this extra stuff on there for California. So I think this one was that version. Again, that's just the big muffler with the heat shields and everything on it. And then this is the pull start side. I'm sure that is another one of those Rados or whatever, just a Honda knockoff. Basically a Harbor Freight Predator, whatever you want to call them, but it's a 457cc engine. And here is your breather box and your chokes, that little gray thing right up there. That over there, of course, is your propane hookup. There's your fuel shut off. You'll want to make sure you turn your fuel shut off before you do it into storage and try to run out all that fuel in the line. And also you'll want to empty the bowl out of your carburetor, because any of that stuff that sits there is going to just gum up your carburetor for the next time you need to use it. It's got, I think it said over a 6-gallon gas tank, so that's pretty cool. This side just has those rubber feet, so that way it stays in place. You wouldn't want wheels on all 4 sides or it might roll around. So those are just feet. You really do push this thing around like a wheelbarrow. It's heavy to lift, it's not heavy to move. I can move it around with no problem. Even pushing it up some ramps probably shouldn't be an issue. Here's the cap. Again, there's the little gas meter there, let you know how much gas you have. This is just a cab. It does have a strainer in it and a little cable. So, I mean, it's a nice little generator. All right, so I went and picked up some 10W30. We are in Texas, so it's a warmer climate. If you are in areas where it does get colder in the winter, I'd probably do a 5W30. But this is just standard conventional motor oil, because this engine, I think the manual said it recommends a 20-hour break-in, but that's not what I normally do with a small engine. I normally do a 5-hour break-in, and then maybe a 20-hour oil change, and then a 50-hour oil change, and then after that, 50 hours, you know, every time after that. So that's what I'm going to do. It does recommend 50-hour oil changes on the intervals, also in the manual, so that lines up. The other thing I do is I use conventional motor oil when I run to break in the engine, and then the next oil change or that oil change after that will be full synthetic. And I just stick with synthetic after that. Because one of the best things to do for your small engine like this, for longevity, since they don't have oil filters or anything like that, is to make sure that the oil that's in it is always in good shape, and at least change it once a year. I'm also going to put a magnetic dipstick in there, and also a magnetic oil drain plug here, so that way there's magnets on that, so that it will capture any metal shreds or shards in those locations. So when I take that apart to change the oil, I can clean those off and get those out. So let's get this thing started up. I do have oil in there, and I've checked it. As you can see, it dripped a little bit when I was doing it. I probably should have put a rag down. I do have the battery charged as good as it's going to get. These batteries aren't the greatest to start with, so, and it's not just this generator. Every generator I bought that has a battery has not had a very good battery in it, so you know, that's probably one of the first things that I'm going to get rid of. It should have enough charge to get this thing cranked. I do have fuel in it, so I put about a half a gallon of gasoline in there. The fuel gauge here doesn't even register that it has anything, but it does have about half a gallon of gas. We're going to walk through the checks real quick. One, battery check. You know, it is charged. Oil, definitely make sure you get the oil in there before you do anything. Then I'm going to come over here and make sure that the fuel is on. So you can see it's already off to start with. Now the fuel is on. So fuel is now dripping down this line. There's also the fuel switch up here. So changing that fuel switch, of course, goes back and forth between gas and propane. Then it goes back down into the carburetor. That's what this little fuel filter is here. That's good enough for this, and then into the carb. So it's filling up the bowl right now so we can get it cranked. The other thing is since this thing has never been cranked, we're going to have to probably put the choke on, because anytime these engines are cold, it's probably best to start it with the choke and then give it a second, then turn it off. Let's see what this thing's going to do. So here it's in stop mode. Let's go to start. All right, so it didn't crank up right away. Of course, the fuel may still be going through. Let's try one more time. All right, so it's not getting fuel. Let's find out why. So one of the things I like about an open generator like this versus an inverter generator is it's open. It's an open frame. You can get to things like your carburetor and everything really easy. Right here's the carburetor. This is where the fuel and air are going to mix together. I'm also going to check the spark plug just to make sure that it's in there well. I mean, it's in there. I'm going to pull it real quick just to make sure it looks okay, make sure it's got a decent gap. So I got the spark plug out. Of course, your toolkit comes with this nifty spark plug remover, and the spark plug looks okay. I mean, I don't know if that's the exact gap it's supposed to be, but it is gapped okay. Your air filter is also in this metal little box right here, and yes, that's metal, not plastic. And I checked that just to make sure there wasn't some like weird plastic or something in there covering the filter since it's new, but it wasn't. It was nice and, you know, sponge in there and everything. It was nice and open, so it should be fine. So let's try to start it again. So just one more quick check. Fuel selector is on gasoline. I did press this on stop when I was looking at everything, but that would go to start. Choke is on. I mean, we checked the spark plug. Let's go ahead and try it. So fuel is on. Let's go to start. That's all it was. I guess it just needed time for that fuel to get through the tank and get through the lines. Maybe it's not that much fuel. Maybe it's restricted on purpose because it seems like it's running. Now, I don't really have a lot to put on this load-wise. My welder and everything that I want to run off of this RV, all of that is at our property. I just wanted to make sure I got all this installed before I load it in my truck and bring it out there. But yeah, this thing cranks up. Showed the right voltage. You're not really gonna be able to figure out amps and all of that until you actually start putting a load on it. So that's about it. That's all you got to do to get this thing running. And again, like I said, maybe the reason it wasn't starting up because we didn't really find an issue was just it needed some time after getting fuel in there, and it was brand new, so it didn't have fuel in any lines. Maybe it just takes a little bit of time to creep in. We're able to get it cranked. It shows on the display that it's generating, you know, 242 volts or whatever it was showing. Basic install and setup, and for the price, I mean, $649, that's what I paid for this on Amazon. You know, again, I'm not going to say that that's going to be there that much longer because there is nothing this cheap out there that I could find anywhere. Even used versions of different colored versions of this generator were not that cheap. So check it out while you can, get it while you can, because I don't think it's going to last long. But you know, for $650, this thing's going to be a backup generator for our RV, backup generator for our tiny home. It's going to be a generator for my welder, multi-purpose generator around the farm. Just anything that I need power for, you know, 240 volt, 50 amp, there it is. As long as this thing holds up, which, I mean, there's not much to it. It's a gas engine and an alternator. So, I mean, either one of those we probably could get fixed pretty cheap, but altogether for $650 is just is a great price, and I couldn't resist picking that up. But anyway, stay tuned for my next video on this generator. I'm actually going to get this out to the land. I have an old Harbor Freight fold-up trailer that I've had at the property forever. I'm fixing that up a little bit. I'm going to make that into a generator slash welder trailer. I'm going to have this generator on it. It's also going to be the storage for my other 3 generators that I have. So I got 4 generators. I don't know, I might even have more, but I got 4 generators that I know of, and I'm going to have them all mounted on there, all working properly. It's going to be my storage compartment, so when we go out of town with the RV, I can grab my inverter generators off of there. But it's just going to house all of my power generating utilities like this and my welders. And I'll show you all that build that I'm doing there. It's been an old trailer, kind of worn out, but I'm going to clean it up, paint it. I already put a different tongue on it and some other stuff, so I'm putting actually some big lawnmower tires on it instead of those little thin donut tires that they have, and just fixing it up to be something I can pull around with a mower or 4-wheeler or something like that around the property and do all the welding and stuff I need. Hope this video was helpful. If you liked it, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, you know, do all those special things. And I will see y'all in the next video. Keep an eye out for this generator and that welder trailer. Thank y'all for watching. Take care.